time of attach to prevent the occurrence, or has attacked any domestic animal or fowl on 3 separate occasions within a 12-month period. Under 56.03, the keeping of vicious animals is restricted, which says that no person shall keep, shelter, or harbor for any reason within the city a vicious animal except under the following circumstances. Number 1, the animal is under the control of law enforcement or a military agency. Number 2, the keeping of guard dogs. However, guard dogs must be kept within a structure or fixed enclosure at all times, and any guard dog found at large shall be a dangerous animal pursuant to the provisions of this chapter. A premise guarded by a guard dog shall be prominently posted with a sign containing the word guard dog, vicious dog, or words of similar import, and the owner of such premises shall inform the sheriff that a guard dog is on duty at said premises. Or number 3, the animal is confined at all times. These notices were served in regards to being a pit bull terrier. I have received a letter on behalf of Mackenzie Brecht that her animal is a emotional support animal and it's therapeutic for managing her mental health symptoms. That then kicks us over to other regulations and provisions that you guys have to consider. The American with Disabilities Act and the Fair Housing Act has provisions that says that you have to make a reasonable accommodation for persons that either have a disability or have a medical reason for having an emotional support animal. Which means that you have to accommodate their request for the emotional support animal. However, you can apply some restrictions in regards to the keeping of such animal. In other cities that I have dealt with this on, we had a gentleman that had a service animal that was specifically trained. It was a pit bull. He admitted it was a pit bull. And as part of the reasonable accommodation, they agreed that he could keep it, but it would be confined at all times. That meant that it was either in his dwelling or in a enclosed structure that was at least 6 feet in height, and if it was not 6 feet in height, it had a top on it. And he agreed that if it was out for a walk, and like I said, this was a service animal, not an emotional support animal, but if he was out in public with it, that it was to be on a leash and it would be muzzled. Those were the accommodations that were discussed with him. He thought that was completely reasonable. He had been a sufferer of PTSD going forward. So in regards to Mackenzie Brecht, under the American with Disabilities Act and Fair Housing Act, we have to make a reasonable accommodation with her because we do have the letter from her medical provider, Michelle Vandenberg from Unity Point Health down in Belle Plaine. And it looks like they saw her on August 17th in regards to that. The Civil Rights Commission down in Des Moines has some guidance and some regulations in regards to making sure that everybody stays in compliance with the civil rights laws and does not violate the American with Disabilities Act. Iowa has recently passed some legislation, number 1, that says that you have to make reasonable accommodations for emotional support animals. You can't discriminate against a person in their housing accommodations because they have that, if they have a letter from the doctor. But they also did impose a penalty for someone that falsely identifies their animal as a service animal or an emotional support animal. So, and for clarification, under the American with Disabilities Act, that refers specifically to service animals. Those are animals that are specifically trained for a specific purpose, such as alerting for low blood sugar, alerting for seizures, providing assistance for blind persons. Those are just kind of examples of those types of things. And emotional support, comfort, well-being, and companionship are not specific work or task purposes for the analysis under the ADA. So there's 2 kind of conflicting provisions. You have the ADA and then you have the Fair Housing Act. The Fair Housing, the ADA says we have to do everything possible for persons with disabilities. The Fair Housing Act says We have to make accommodations for people so that they can reasonably carry on within the confines of their home. A reasonable accommodation according to provisions that have been published, and this is, I took from the Iowa Civil Rights Commission earlier. It says a reasonable accommodation is a change, exception, or adjustment to a rule, policy, practice, or service that may be necessary for a person with a disability to have equal opportunity to use and enjoy a dwelling, including public and common use spaces. I also received from them an assistance animals policy that I think that we need to discuss at a later meeting and get it on the agenda, that says, you know, we will make reasonable accommodations. This is the policy that we're going to have in place. They have a beautiful form that says, you fill it out, says I have a reasonable accommodation. The doctor checks yes, yes, and signs it, and then we've got that in the file that says, you know, we've done our due diligence on behalf of the city for such things. So, are you Mr. Roberson?
I am, yes.
Okay. And I apologize for not getting back to you earlier today. It's been a little insane at my office.
That's okay. My email was pretty late as well, so.
I did email Mr. Roberson back in regards to Gabby's dog, because he had sent me a copy of the patient chart from the veterinarian's office. And as I explained to him in my email, that's not a certification, that's the information that you typically provide to your veterinarian when you go in and you give it to the lady at the front desk or the guy at the front desk. I did tell him that I would recommend that we give her an extension of time for her to go to her veterinarian to procure that statement from the veterinarian that says this is a boxer lab mix. That's only fair, and if she doesn't want to do that, then we'll make arrangements for an administrative search warrant to take it down to Keystone Vet Clinic and have the animal examined by our veterinarian and blood tested. So I did not have a chance to consult with him today because of that, but that was what I had told him in my email earlier today, and I wanted you guys to be aware of that. So, Mr. Roberson is your client here, Gabby?
Yes.
Okay. My question for you, is this animal registered with the city?
No.
Okay, if you believe this animal was a lab boxer mix, why did you not register it with the city?
Couple of reasons. One, us moving to Keystone was the first time I had ever moved somewhere I had to register a pet, and I didn't, I'll be honest, I didn't even think about it. And then when I did think about it, I had paperwork sitting on our counter, and I was going to fill it out, and I don't know if it's too much information for the council, but I suffered a miscarriage, and that took over my life, and I completely forgot. So I had every intention of doing it, I just literally forgot.
And I'm not familiar with you, so how long have you lived in town so the council knows this?
We moved March of 2021, so last March.
And Angie, for my clarification, do you guys send out notices on the water bill or anything that says reminder to register your pet?
Yes. Just one time. I mean, we send a letter in October
Okay,
that says register it by January 31st, I'm sorry. And the penalty will be incurred after that if they're not registered. January water bill, I put a little sticky on there that says, if I know that somebody has a pet, if I know it, and they haven't registered it from last year, I'll put a note on the water bill.
but if you don't know they have a pet, then they don't get a separate notice.
Then they don't get another notice.
Okay, is there anything that the city sends out on text message, Facebook, or anything about registering pets?
Well, we probably used to have it on our webpage, but that is no longer.
Because we're in the process of updating, right?
Yes, we're changing vendors.
Gotcha.
Because it hadn't been updated, but.
So I guess, is the council okay with allowing Gabby an opportunity to take it to her vet to get a letter from not a pit bull? Or do you want me to,
That's pretty well what we want, is something that officially says, have a veterinary say that it is not a pit bull.
is your client okay with that?
If I could just ask a clarifying question, I know that there are a lot of DNA tests available for animals these days. If we were to get one of those, would that be sufficient as well?
We don't know what that test is, buddy. Veterinary, or, I
The
don't know.
the veterinarian can do it, I'm comfortable with a DNA test. I guess I would like some confirmation as to what the animal actually is that's being tested.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to having myself or yourself there when the animal is, you know, if you get one of those home tests. That way we have some verification that the animal that's being tested is actually the animal that's in question. Is the council okay with that? I mean, Mr. Roberson is an officer of the court, as an attorney, and he would be putting his professional license and his reputation on the line, you know, if he's willing to do that.
Is there some sort of affidavit that comes with that that proves that it's legitimate? Certifies that it is?
Do you mean as far as the testing was legitimate,
Yes.
or?
Yeah.
I've actually done it on my dog, and all we got back was,
What service did you use?
I cannot remember.
Um,
All we got back was basically a webpage about the dog's history. However, I believe we could have paid an additional fee to get it certified. I'll have to check on that, and I know that there are several websites that can do it. But Jennifer and I can probably cooperate to figure out a good one.
I mean, I'm okay with that, if you guys will give me the discretion to work with him and find a test that we agree and that they can, you know, if they'll send, you know, a copy of the results directly from the company to me, as well as him.
With the Abbeys, there's only one involved here, dog, isn't it? The other one isn't a pit bull, we know that.
No, she's a 35-pound blue
Just
jay.
the one in question is
Right.
just one dog.
Yeah, right. So,
The only other thing I'd ask is to have some kind of established timeline. I believe mine took 3 weeks to get back to us. I can't say that for sure, so either having the veterinarian certified or doing a DNA test within some timeline.
well, if you guys will grant the discretion to myself, I would be happy to coordinate that with him, and I can report back to you, you know, I can give you a report in 2 weeks that says veterinarian's done it, or we sent the test off, this is the anticipated
Yeah.
timeline, and I can report back. Does that sound acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Does somebody wanna make a motion in regards to
Yeah.
that for Gabby,
I make a motion to have a DNA test done,
or a veterinary certification?
veterinary certification, yes.
And you can give me the discretion to coordinate the timeframe with
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah,
Wilker.
I second it.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, and then in regards to Mackenzie, she does have a letter, so we do have to make a reasonable accommodation. Is there any restrictions that we need? Is Mackenzie's animal registered?
No, he is not.
Okay, so you will be required to register it?
Yes.
Okay.
How many?
How many? Yeah.
I have
What's-
4.
You have
Dogs
4
in
dogs?
total. Yes,
Are they all of the?
3 of them are. But the only one that has been in question this entire time, though I have made it known that I have the 2 others, has only been Nightmare.
Okay, the city of Keystone has a restriction, you're only allowed 3 dogs.
Okay. But I think that's for another discussion, because that wasn't brought up prior.
Right.
Could you speak up? I can't hear you.
I think that's for another discussion, because that wasn't brought up prior to this. It's just been about.
Well, it's been our
being pitbull.
discussion all along.
It's been a long
I-
time, you've had enough time.
See, if they had been registered, we'd have known that she had 4.
I've never even
January.
been offered registered since this has gone on.
What?
I've never been offered to get them registered since this has
How
progressed.
long have you been living in town?
I moved here in December.
Okay, so,
I haven't been here very long.
okay. I have your letter here.
Yes.
That I just received yesterday at 4:45.
Yes,
Okay.
but I sent it to the city clerk 2 weeks ago, I wanna say.
Okay?
This letter pertains to how many of her dogs?
I have,
From having a
I
pet.
have that letter that I sent that pertains to 2, and then I have another letter I sent to the city clerk that pertains to the other 2.
Are any of these trained for any specific purpose?
They're ESA animals. They don't have a certain training.
Jennifer, if I may, the notice that Kinsey received, I don't know if it specified any particular dog at all. I'm just trying to make sure which animal we're talking about.
We're talking about pit bulls.
Yes, but the specific notice that she received was about one animal, and it wasn't
Notice that was
specified which.
served by the sheriff.
Our discussion is with pit
Even when I was
bulls,
served
period.
the official notice, I did let UPA know that I had 2 others.
But are they?
Tippet was also there.
Okay. We have a copy of what was served for the notice. I don't have a copy of it.
You mean this one through the doctor?
No, I want the notice that was served by the sheriff's office.
Are you saying?
Do you have those somewhere, Ron?
Just 3, and then
You have
I
one on your phone?
I have one on my phone.
Okay, will
Give me
you-
just 1 second.
if you would forward it to me, that would be great.
I have a question. Can somebody tell me what a pit bull is? Can you tell me what a pit bull is? Give me a size.
What's
give
your
me a weight.
name? What's your name?
Pick me, I'm the other.
Oh.
I want you to tell me what a pit bull is.
I did, I gave you the definition when I read it.
I wasn't here.
Well, you're late then.
It's right
I'm
here.
sorry, I thought it was 6:30.
A pit bull terrier, according to the code, means any dog of that breed known variously as American Pit Bull Terrier, American Staffordshire Terrier, or Pit Bull Terrier, or any dog of mixed breed which contains a strain of such breed known variously as American Pit Bull Terrier, American Staffordshire Terrier, or Pit Bull Terrier, and which is identifiable as such by a qualified veterinarian duly licensed in the state.
Okay, give me a size, give me a weight, give me a description. You can't, you can't tell me it's a dog between 30 pounds and 100 pounds. It doesn't work. I've bred Brittany Spaniels for years. They were 45 pounds to 45
We
pounds.
will get to your appeal
I
momentarily.
just don't like your description. It's not very,
You email this. If
you're
you
very loose on your description of what a pit bull is.
We'll just show her that on your phone. So Jennifer, neither of us have any service. However, she did bring it up on her phone
Okay.
for a photograph. Can we show you that?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
yeah.
That will just help clarify a few things.
Yeah.
Does not specifically identify an animal in regards to that. Okay. Mr. Roberson, do you have any comments or statements in regards to multiple emotional support animals?
The only thing I would say is that it's difficult for